NRA interviewing one of these people who didn't even know what the type of rifle's called or whatever it is. And I got a guy going, hey, I love your company, but I don't know why you have to get political.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not being political. I'm being educational.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my state, I don't know where you live, but in my state, there's two sides of the story, but like inner city people are totally different than the suburbs or the rural areas.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be dictated by San Francisco.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been to San Francisco, but it's a claustrophobic cement jungle, and it has nothing to do with Huntington Beach at all.
Yeah, sure.
And even our cities sued the state and won recently because of laws that are passed, about whether it's rent control or, it's just everything's going against the entrepreneur spirit. Like you take something like a rent control. Why would there be rent control on a multi-million-dollar house? I want to live in Corona del Mar on the beach in that $30 million house, but you know what? I can't afford it today. And if I want it bad enough, I'm going to have to figure out a way to be able to afford it.
Yeah, sure.
But no one's going to say that $30 million house has to be $3,000 a month to rent. There's already a line out the door to rent that house for $50,000 a month because you have movie stars and, professional athletes and people who can afford it. That's why we have the economy we have. Anyways, it's just kind of interesting, right? So be political, be outspoken, be respectful, be funny. Don't take it too seriously, right? But that's what social media it is. We all have a voice. We're all the news. Sometimes, Jim, you might share something that I didn't see yet, and I'm going to learn about it because I follow Jim.
Mm-hmm. Well, and by the way, Jerry, you are one of those people that you've always said what you meant, and you've always been the kindest person about it. And it might not be what we want to hear, but I've always been impressed with that too. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm just curious because, we just talked about all these things that you're doing and building your business. What does your average day look like? Because I know just trying to schedule this call has been very challenging because you've had some extremely busy days and you wanted to do this. So I'm just curious, what does your day look like and how do you structure it? And do you make time for your family and all that good stuff?
So my average day looks like, I hate to admit this, but I have a coffee machine at home. I very, very rarely use it. So I either go to Huntington Surf and Sport and grab, coconut milk latte.
Mm-hmm.
As funny as that sounds, but I just dig them. Or I go to Starbucks and get a breakfast sandwich and a coffee. For whatever reason, I got to do that. And then I come into work, look at my desk. I pound through the important emails. I kind of sort through the other ones. I don't even delete them all. I probably should.
Mm-hmm.
It's as of lately, like the lately things are, the workers' comp insurance audits to make sure our payroll matches what we're spending with them, right? So they overcharge us for what we do, and then they want to squeeze every penny out of us in case we, pay our employees a little more or hire a little more. So there's
Mm-hmm.
audits for that, audits for liability insurance, audits for everything you could think of. So I'm on the phone with the CPA a lot, trying to figure out like what's the next move financially, right? So we're not making bad decisions on how we're spending our money.
Mm-hmm.
Doing social media posts, walking through the shop, making sure everyone's busy, coming up with some new ideas. Jason and I getting together, look at engineering drawings and new product designs, on the phone with people, that are hitting me up because they are building a cool show vehicle or racing a truck or want a sponsorship, talking with the owners of the race organizations, the owners of the companies and the marketing directors of companies. We're in show season right now. So, there's a Sand Sports show, there's Off-Road Expo, we got the Laughlin race, there's SEMA. It's the end of the year essentially, but it's not over yet. And so then it's sponsorship conversations where we have, contracts that are up this year that we either need to renew or move on to someone else for next year, whatever that is. Staying on top of the stock market, looking at the trends of real estate.
Yeah.
It's all of it. You know?
You're running a true business with a lot of components to it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, dealing with, employee issues of like, someone's grandma dying for the 8th time. That's their excuse, all the way to, can I work overtime because I need more money? All that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a typical day to day, just a little different. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's easier and harder than in the beginning. In the beginning, it's easier in the sense of everything's exciting and new and you're just grinding away. Now you have more time to be free and more time to goof off. But as a business owner, you never do.
Yeah.
Because we have good employees. I could go surfing every morning, but I never do.
Yeah.
I feel too guilty. Like there's always something to do in my mind. So I'm always at work, so trying to work hard, play hard scenario. But it's hard sometimes, when you have that company that's always got something going on, it's hard to go play when you always have something to do. And that's the sacrifice of a business owner. People think it's just always easy and we don't have to work as many hours, where in fact, we're probably working 70 to 80 hours a week, if not more, always thinking about it. Even when you're with your kids at Disneyland, you're still thinking about work. Even
Sure.
if you leave your phone in the car, you're still thinking about work. It's just a sacrifice,
Yeah. Did you ever imagine that Camburg would be the success that it is today? Because, look, I mean, you've got a lot of followers. We've seen, some of your success in material items. I know life's not all about that, because I've really never seen you buy some fun toys, which you finally did, and I'm happy that you did that. But did you ever imagine that you would see this kind of success?
Honestly, yes. And when I look at it, and I look forward, like the new business goals, adding a 0 on the back of the number of what we do every year, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very simple thought, right? I'm just going to add one more decimal point, one more 0. Because if you do that, it's just a whole nother level, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the thing we're looking at now. So it's like, what do we got to do to plug away at that? Basically we're 45 years old right now, and I'd love to sell the business and be retired, but what would I do?
Yeah.
Right. I enjoy what I do.
Sure.
So it just kind of comes down to like, what is it going to take to add that 0? And that's kind of a new goal. And that's why, the machine shop's its own thing. And that's when it's standalone, even it's part of the same company, but when it's standalone, do we separate it from the company and, it still makes our parts, but now we make other people's parts. Because I have in the Porsche world, meeting a guy like Rod Emery, if you know who he is, he's your number one vintage Porsche builder. He builds the Emery Outlaws, and we machined a few parts for him. And he's hit me up like, hey, can you do these or do those? And I'm like, yeah, I got to get this machine shop up and running first.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about really cool parts, making them for very like-minded, very talented people. That's where the passion comes in. And if you could get paid to live your passion, that's insane, right?
Sure. We all
want
it.
Or do some job shop stuff. Some of the wealthiest people I know, they own machine shops. And you look at like a Jesse Jones who's out racing trophy trucks and doing his thing. From what I hear, his machine shop is more than impressive. Some of the people I worked for in the past in the mountain bike world and some of the suppliers, these guys own Lear jets and they own machine shops.
Mm-hmm.
So you start looking at that and you're like, if you get that right business, that's good. But at the same time, I have Camburg and it's really good. And once the machine shop moves out of here, we're basically doubling our welding zone. By doubling the welding zone, at what point am I going to be knocking on the door behind me, paying them to move out of their building, for more inventory? And so that's adding that 0. So that's the goal. So yeah, I would say yes. I saw eventually myself would be where I'm at today. But I honestly don't look at it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't look at it. I just kind of just keep moving forward and plugging away and staying on top of it. If there's more demand, you got to figure out how to keep up with that demand. And if you're successful at that, obviously more money is going to stick.
Yeah. Well, what's very interesting is you say when there's more demand or if there's more demand. The crazy part is that you're the guy creating all that demand through your social media. And that's the environment we live in, work in today, especially as entrepreneurs. If the demand's not there, create it. And you're doing that through your social media. I got to tell you, I've never been a Toyota guy, really, probably not since the 80s. And I've definitely never been a Jeep guy. But I follow both your Instagram pages. Now I've been talking to my wife about, hey, we got to get one of these Jeeps, man. Have you seen what Jerry's doing to Jeeps? And the Toyota Overlander stuff that you're doing is just incredible. They look so much fun. I wish I was a single guy cruising around the planet in one of your Overlanders. So, going back to creating that demand and that desire, you guys have just done such a phenomenal job with that. I just want to compliment you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, look, we kind of went long here, but I've just been really wanted to hear your story and have it told over the air because, again, us as off-road racers, we don't know a lot about our colleagues that are out there racing. We know that they must have some success, but as I've gotten to know you, to really hear, where you started from and where you're at today, I'm just really happy for you and Jason and what you've created, and I just wish you guys tons of success. Can you tell our listeners where they can follow you at or find out more information? You don't have to rattle off all your Instagram pages, but a few of the big ones.
Yeah, Camburg Racing with a U, so CAMBURG Racing. That's Instagram and Facebook. We're at over 2 million Facebook followers, 272,000 Instagram followers. The race trucks we built are kinetic trucks, but with a K at the end, not a C. Mm-hmm. So kinetic trucks, Jeeps _only. Jerry Zaiden, my name, and Supercar Jerry. Those are the bigger ones.
Yeah, awesome job. Hey, by the way, we talked a little bit about sponsorships and stuff like that. Who are a couple of your bigger sponsors right now? You want to throw their names out there? Because, I think it's so fascinating what you've been able to do with them as partners. Would love to hear a couple of those big names that you're working with.
Yeah, so sponsorship-wise for us, it's General Tire, Scotia Industries, Monster Energy, Method Race Wheels, Rigid Industries, LED lighting. Got Igloo Coolers on board. They're a newer sponsor.
Nice.
We got Steel It. We got Chicago Pneumatic. We got Magnaflow, who's been a long-time sponsor. We actually also pulled on Sig Sauer, which is a gun company.
Yep.
And Amsoil is another new sponsor for the year. And then we have, some smaller, really cool companies we work with, Rugged Radios, Mother's Car Care Products. Actually, they're a big company. They're a product company that we use for cleaning everything. So that actually crosses over to the Porsches really well. And we have FK Bearings, K&N, and we have Fox Shocks.
Yeah. Jerry, I've always been impressed by your sponsors because they are across the board. I did not expect you to hear you say Sig Sauer today, but I'm glad that you're working with them as a gun owner myself. So good job. Hey, listen, I really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. Thank you so much for being on the show today, and hope to see you out at one of the off-road shows. I'm sure you'll be at all of them, including SEMA, doing what you do.
Yes. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for listening to today's show. It is my pleasure and honor to interview all of the guests that have been on the Answer is Yes podcast. If you have enjoyed the show, please go on iTunes and subscribe, give a rating, or simply tell a friend about the show. We also believe in the message of our guests and the positive influence of their stories. As my own mentor and coach, David Meltzer, has taught me, spend some time every day thinking and writing about the things in your own life that you have more than enough of. You will find out how blessed we really are. Please visit my website, livelifedriven.com, for the latest updates about me and what I'm doing. Plus, I post a monthly blog about the many topics on this show. This podcast can also be found there. As I learned early on in life, what you believe is what you will achieve. Thanks, Mark Victor Hansen, and thank you, and have a great week.